Hi, I'm Niall from GulfStream Boat Sales. Here we have a Fletcher Arrowbolt 21. It was built in 1999. It is a 21-foot cuddy. It's a Millennium Series boat. It has a Mercruiser 5-litre V8 stern drive engine. It's got a pretty good spec with GPS chart plotter and things on it, and it's in nice condition. We're going to take a walk around the boat. We're going to show you all the features inside it. We're going to take a close look around the engine bay, the mechanicals and things like that, and just give you a better idea of what sort of shape this boat's in and whether it might be the right one for you or not. If you're looking at spending sort of less than £10,000 on a sports cuddy with an inboard engine, then you're probably going to want to pay attention to the next little bit of this video, because that market is something that sort of terrifies me. I've thought long and hard about not even getting involved in selling boats like this for quite a while, because there's so many stories of just heartache, problems, breakdowns, expensive repair bills, you know, you name it. You can be opening a can of worms if you're buying a boat like this. What on the face of it might look like a great deal and you're getting loads of boat for a great price can very quickly turn into a nightmare. So the reason I still do sell boats like this is for a couple of reasons. One is quite a lot of our customers come with like boats like this to trade things in, and also it still remains a good entry level into like the sports boat and lifestyle. You know, less than £10,000, pretty much anybody can spend that. You know, you can get pretty sizable boats. You know, all the things that attract people on the face of it, you know, are valid points. You know, it's a nice big boat, you get an inboard engine, you get plenty of horsepower for pulling skiers and stuff like that. You know, on the face of it, the dream stacks up. But in reality, for every 10 boats that are advertised online, there's probably one good one and 9 just that are going to be total heartbreakers. So what I've decided to do is just make sure that I'm selling only those one good boats. So I turn away the vast majority of this type of stuff that I get asked to sell, and I will only entertain selling the boat if it does run well, if it stacks up, you know, stands up to our inspection and scrutiny whenever we're looking at it, and if it needs anything doing, the owner of the boat has to be willing to fix it and pay for the repairs before the thing sells. That's the case with this boat. It's a good boat. It's primarily spent its entire life in fresh water. The current owner has been pretty fastidious with the maintenance and stuff of it, and whenever he brought it to me for sale, we ran it, we put it through his paces, we found a few things that needed fixing, and he's agreed to cover all those repairs and make sure that all the work's taken care of before she goes to her next owner. So this should be one of those ones that whenever you buy the boat, that's it. You know, you don't have to spend money for the next season or whatever. You know, it's still a 1999 boat. So, you know, if you were buying a 1999 car, you wouldn't expect it to run and not have to do any ongoing maintenance. So you are going to have to carry out ongoing maintenance on any boat of this vintage and this type. But the reassuring thing, if you're buying through us, is that you know that you're starting from a really good starting point. There's no current outstanding issues with the boat. It is going to run well for this coming season, and it's the type of thing that where you're not going to be throwing good money after bad. You know, the boat's well sorted. Yes, you're going to have to spend money to maintain it and keep it going over the years. You got to budget roughly about 10% of the purchase price with any given boat for ongoing maintenance and running costs. But if you're willing to invest that sort of money into it, this is going to be a good boat for somebody, and I'd have no problem putting my kids in it and heading out to sea. And unfortunately, at this end of the market, at this price point, this size and type of boat, I can only say that about one, like on average, 1 in every 10 that I see. The vast majority of them are just, I know they're just nightmares, but this is a good boat. So I'm going to take you through the boat, point out the things that indicate that it's a good one, it's running well and everything. And whether you buy this boat or you go and buy something else, hopefully you'll find the video useful whenever it comes to picking what to spend your hard-earned cash on. One of the good things about this particular boat is that it's never been kept in the water. It's always been kept on the trailer, so the hull has never been anti-fouled, and it's still got a nice, you know, it's got the original gel coat finish throughout the entire underside of the boat. You can see it comes complete with this Fletcher, this custom matched Fletcher twin axle roller coaster trailer, which is it's in good nick. Wheel bearings and everything are good on it, and The rollers, there's a couple of little rubber rollers missing here and there on it, but apart from that, it's in good shape. But yeah, the fact that there's no anti-fouling paint on this boat, so there's nothing lurking behind any anti-fouling paint, is a big factor on older boats. You can cover a multitude of sins with a coat of anti-fouling paint, so the fact this one never been anti-fouled is a really good sign. And I've also been around it in pretty close detail looking for any indication of osmosis or anything, and there's none of that on here. Again, since the boat has always been kept out of the water, it's really contributes to the longevity of the hull. You very rarely find osmosis on boats that have been kept primarily on the trailer. So this one's in good nick. There's no real major damage or chips or scuffs or anything out of the gel coat below the waterline on this side. And then above the waterline, the deck, the hull, it all looks pretty good. The rub rails in pretty good shape. All the stainless steel work, the rails, the cleats, this is all in good condition. Coming down along the port side, there are a few nicks out of the graphics here, just here and there. There's little spots in the graphics that have, you know, they've obviously caught, like, I don't know whether it's a rope or caught a wall or something, but there's no gel coat damage. It purely is just a little bit of cosmetics on the graphics, but gel coat still looks really good. We have given the boat a little polish up as well, so it looks the part. Taking a look at the underside of the hull on the starboard side then, again, it all looks really good. You can see there's a couple of little small nicks out of the gel, just here and there, on the very bottom of the hull. Now that's trailer damage, just as you come on the trailer. If you just get it, if you get the boat slightly off-centered or whatever, you can very easily just catch it on the trailer. But it's just a little bit of gel coat damage. You can fill that very easily. It's nothing really to worry about. The rest of the hull all looks really good. Again, no signs of any previous repairs, no signs of any osmosis or any of that sort of stuff. And then taking a look up the deck, the rub reel, everything looks really good down this side. Again, just a few little spots where the graphics are wearing through, but the actual underlying gel coat is in really good condition. I can't find any evidence of any damage or previous repairs really anywhere around the boat, so that's a really good sign that the boat of this age has been kept as well. Even the rub rail's in good condition, a couple of little nicks and scuffs out of it, but there's no signs of any impact damage, no heavy knocks, and like I said, the gel coat looks really good. There's still a nice deep shine to it as well. Coming right down to the back here, the engine vents. These are plastic and quite fragile, so if you hit these at all, they tend to shatter and break, but these ones are in nice condition. And then having a look at the corners, the stern corners on all of these sports boats, if you're using them in and around the marinas at all, they're very susceptible to damage, because if you know the way that a sports boat turns, if you turn the steering wheel to the left, how it begins to turn is it kicks the stern the opposite direction, so it's very easy to kick the stern into the jetties. But this one is completely unmarked. There's no damage here at all, and it's the same story then over on the port side as well. There's no damage here on the corner, so that's a good sign. It either means one of two things: the boat has very rarely spent any time in and around marinas, or whoever was driving at the time knew what they were doing. So either way, it's pretty good. But like I said, this boat spent most of its life, virtually all of its life, on the trailer. It's been launched and recovered for days, so you tend not to find lots of heavy damage whenever a boat's been used that way. And this one, you know, that's the way it comes across. The Fletcher Arrowbolt range, and this 21 in particular, was designed as a performance-oriented boat, so it's very sleek lined. It still looks really sharp. You know, it's low to the water. The nose on it tapers down pretty aggressively. It's a nice sleek shape to it, and I think it still looks the part. You know, it's still a very attractive boat. One of the things about that sort of shape and the aggression of the hull design is it handles rough water really well, so it's a great coastal boat. At 21 feet in length as well, it's a good length for cutting through a coastal chop and for handling, you know, heavier sort of weather, you know, choppier conditions. So it's a perfect boat for using around the sea, even though this one spent the majority of its life, as far as we know, in freshwater. If you look at the hull shape, it is pretty aggressive. It's got a deep V hull. There's a deep V on the transom, and it comes through to a fine point at the front. We've got these pronounced chines as well, so they help the boat run really steadily through choppier conditions. And then you get this rail which throws any spray that it generates well clear of the boat, so you don't get wet inside, even if you are out on choppier days. So yeah, it looks really good. There's pretty decent sort of setup here with an anchor locker and roller at the front. you know, a couple of substantial cleats. So if you're, you know, dropping the anchor and have a picnic or something on board, or it's easy enough to do that. And you've got these handrails out here on the foredeck as well. There's no molded non-skid on the foredeck, so it can be a bit slippy, so you just need to be careful when you're out there, but at least you do have the handrails to hang on to. One other thing I quickly want to point out as well, before we finish up looking at the exterior, is these, you probably noticed these mounting points. This would have been for a wakeboard tower, which would have been fitted to this boat at some point in the past. The current owner did not get it whenever he bought the boat, and so we don't have the tower, but that's what it is. I've closely examined, there's 4 mounting points, 2 on the exterior, and the 2 back ones are actually inside the cockpit comb in there, but they look like they've been well installed, and there's no stress cracking around the mounting points at all, which is a good sign. So either it wasn't used very much, or it's been well fitted, but it feels nice and solid. But they're there, they never bothered the owner enough to remove them. I probably wouldn't bother removing it either. It's got a rubber backing seal and stuff, so it's all sealed up, so you're not going to be letting any water or anything in there. But just in case you're wondering what that is, that's what it's for. I have no idea what make of tower it is either, but that's what they were for. This boat's fitted with a Mercruiser 5-litre V8 engine. It makes 220 horsepower, and it gives about a really good turn of speed. It's a great hull for it. The hull's rated up to 260 horsepower, so it's up at the upper end of the horsepower rating for the hull, but it's very, very comfortable with that engine, and it runs really well as well. It will plane at like a 1/3 throttle with ease, and you can, you know, quite comfortably run about with half throttle all day long, and it will, you know, plane and run about 25 to 30 miles an hour, and it won't burn through too much fuel either. But if you want to open it up and run a lot faster, you can do that. The boat runs up to around about 45-50 miles an hour flat out. The engine is matched up to this Alpha 1 stern drive leg, and it's in good condition. So it's fitted with this stainless steel 3-blade prop, which has a couple of little minor nicks in it, but the blade shape's still good, and the prop shaft is still turning nice and straight, it's nice and true. The actual drive itself looks to be in very good condition, so the paint finish is pretty good on it. Some light scuffing on the very bottom of the skeg, but it's all there. There's no nicks or damage out of the skeg. There's no real evidence of any major corrosion, a couple of little bits and pieces here and there, but nothing major. The anodes and stuff are still in good condition. Obviously, with the boat having spent most of its time out of the water on the trailer, you would expect that the anodes are pretty good, and they are. It's running well. We've extensively water tested the boat. We probably ran it for about 45 minutes or so in the water. It goes really good. There's no untoward noises or knocks or anything out of the drive. It's running well. The bellows were replaced. The current owner had the bellows replaced earlier this season, so they're perfect. They're good for another sort of 3 years, 2-3 years. They're nice and pliable and stuff, and there's really nothing to worry about on the stern drive. It's all in really good shape out here. And this is an area on boats of this vintage that can cause a lot of problems, particularly if the bellows haven't been changed or the maintenance of those hasn't been kept up to date. Because what happens is you can get water inside the upper drive sort of housing assembly there. It can damage the gimbal bearing and things. It can damage some of the oil seals and stuff there. Then you can end up getting water inside the drive, and you know, worst case scenario, you can be looking at putting a new drive on it at like £2,000 or whatever. So the fact this one's a good nick, and all the seals look good. The trim ram seals are good. The bellows have been replaced. Even the bellows job on its own is like £350 to £400. So the fact that that's been done just removes another potential headache for you, and you don't have to worry about those for another couple of seasons. So stern drive wise, the boat's really good. And taking a look across the transom, it's nice and clean. This is the way the boat came into us. So no watermark or staining or anything on the hull. It's again another sign that the boat has genuinely spent the majority of its time on the trailer, not in the water. And there's no corrosion from the little U-bolts on the back. We've got a big chunky ski tow point here in the centre of the transom. This is a factory ski tow point, properly reinforced. There's no stress cracking around it. We've got a moulded in swim platform across the full width of the transom. It's probably about 12 inches deep. We've got this Fletcher 3-step folding stainless steel boarding ladder with these integrated handrails on it. We've got a big handrail across the transom. The original Fletcher build plate, which is proper on the hull here. The cleats are in all good condition, and then we've got some additional rails around the sun pad at the back here. So everything from here looks good. Stepping inside the boat then, you can tell that this is like a traditional sort of speedboat style layout, where you've got a big sun pad across the top of the engine bay at the back, which is pretty decent size actually. And then we've got a bench in front of that, forward facing bench that'll accommodate probably about 3 adults. And then we've got two seats here. We've got the helm seat and the passenger seat up front. Everybody's sitting facing forward. This boat sort of was about going fast and looking good back in the day whenever it was brand new. So, and it does that really well. The floor in the boat's quite high, probably because the overall height of the boat is not, you know, it's like I said, it's sleek, it's low to the water. It's got that sort of aggressive stance to it, but it means that the floor inside here is pretty high, so even whenever you're standing up, the windshield doesn't come up, that sort of comes up to about waist height, but whenever you're sitting down, the seats are all low set in the boat, so whenever you are sitting down, you know, you're still reasonable protection from the windscreen at the front, but everybody's got really good visibility ahead, and you sort of get that wind in your hair experience. In terms of the condition of everything in here, it's pretty good. I mean, the boat's 1999. It has a few nicks and tears here and there. There's a little tear in the sun pad here. If you look hard enough, you will find there's a couple of little tears down where people's feet probably are hitting against the side panel, the upholstery on the side panels here. But generally speaking, it's reasonably good. The boat is pretty much, as far as I can tell, the boat's 100% original. This is all the original seat coverings. It's the original carpet. It's still got the little Fletcher logo and stuff on the corners. So for an original boat, it actually has stood up to the test of time pretty well. But it's, you know, so it's not been molested, it hasn't been redone poorly or anything, it's just, this is the way that the boat has weathered the years. But it's looking generally pretty good. I want to show you a bit more closely the condition of things in the cockpit here. So just going to point out the defects so you can see them. So we've got this tear in the sun pad back here. Also the stitching separating a little bit just at this corner, but it's not too bad. The actual aft bench seat is pretty good. I can't find any tears or rips or any of the stitching coming apart in it at all. And even the backing carpet, this is all the original Fletcher carpet finishing on the, you know, on the back seat back, so it's all good. This lifts out to give you access into a big deep storage bin, which is all lined with that marine grey carpet. So there's fenders and an anchor and all sorts of bits and bobs down in there that are going with the boat. So that's all looks pretty good. This fiberglass is all in good shape as well. You can see just below the stereo speaker here on this starboard side, we've got a little tear in the side panel upholstery, and there's a matching tear on the port side as well. So I'd say that's where people's feet are catching it or something. But apart from that, the rest of the side panels are all pretty good as well. The carpet's actually very good. I don't think it doesn't look like it's probably used very much, but it's still the original Fletcher carpet. And if you lift this up, you can see we've got, well, the deck, the underlying deck is in really good condition, so it's fully fiberglass lined as well. There's a couple of big scuppers there, so any water finds its way inside the boat, drains overboard. And the deck isn't spongy. It doesn't feel spongy or weak. It's pretty solid and secure underfoot, which is good. We've got another storage compartment in here. Pull this up. So that's like a fiberglass lined compartment in there, and there's a drain in the very bottom of it. So I suppose if you wanted to use the boat for fishing or something, you could use that as like a live well or bait well. You could bung up the hole, and it's totally lined in there, so it's completely empty at the moment. All the catches and stuff are working as they should. Said the carpet's good. Just pop this seat back in. The helm seat's in good condition. The upholstery on it looks perfect. It's the same story with the passenger side seat as well. The upholstery on that's very good. The only problem with these seats is that they don't really move anymore. The mechanisms don't look, they're all aluminium, so they're not rusty or anything, but they're just very, very tight. Now, I haven't spent any time trying to free them up. I'd say a bit of elbow grease and a bit of WD-40 would get those seats all moving again, but at the moment they're pretty reluctant to move. We've got some storage containers then on both sides, starboard, port side, and there's cup holders dotted all the way around this boat as well. We've got two up here at the driver's side, got matching two on the passenger side. There's 3 recessed cup holders in underneath there, and there's lots of handrails as well. You know, we've got plenty of stainless steel handrails dotted throughout the cockpit as well, so you can hang on whenever you're underway. There is a little recess here at the driver's feet, and again you can see it's drained as well. So if any water comes in there, it drains, so that you're not going to get a puddle building up in there. So when you're sitting at the helm, obviously because of the recess, you can, you know, you're sitting in a pretty comfortable position here. I would say the previous owner has probably been driving this boat standing up, because the seat is pushed pretty far back. So it means if you're standing at the helm, you've got plenty of room. You can stand in here. You're not the seat's not sticking into your legs or anything. But as I said, if you're wanting to drive the boat from a seated position, you're probably going to want to get this freed up and get the seat pushed in closer to the steering wheel. The visibility is not brilliant through the screen because it's a fairly low boat in terms of, like, you know, it's low to the water, that aggressive lines and stuff means that you don't have a very big windscreen, and there's also a big chunky compass up there, so the visibility through the screen is not fantastic. But whenever you're standing up, as I said, you know, you can still get the steering wheel is well positioned, the throttle lever stuff is well positioned, so you can helm the boat standing up pretty comfortably. And because you got the recessed floor section, you know, you're not standing, you're still standing fairly low in the boat as well. We got all the 12-volt switchgear here for horn, bilge pump, blower motor. Everything is working on this boat, which is one of the reasons why I agreed to sell it, because 9 times out of 10 on a boat of this age, you know, there's probably more stuff not working than there is working, but this boat, everything is operating on it. The trim gauge, I think, is the only gauge that's not working. All the other instruments are all good working order. So we've got speedo, temperature, oil pressure, battery volts, trim, tacho, and fuel gauge as well. There is an hour clock on the boat here, which is showing 125 hours runtime. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not, but that's what it shows. And it does seem to be counting as well. So, I mean, the current owner, he's not the first owner, and there's been a few before him, but he's pretty sure it's reflective of the hours that are on the engine. The engine is very tight, and it starts first time and stuff. So that could well be the actual runtime on the engine, but it's just hard to verify on a boat of this age. We've got a Navman Trackfish 6500 GPS chart plotter on here as well, which is it's a recent addition, probably fitted about 4 or 5 years ago. It's got split screen, chart function, and sonar as well. So it works like a fish finder, depth sounder as well. So that's a really good thing to have. And again, if you're using the boat around the coast, very nice thing to really. These things are sort of becoming essential nowadays. So that's all in perfect working order as well. And mechanically, the boat's going very well. The owner has, this year, he's put a new battery into the boat. He's also replaced the alternator. He's had the carburetor stripped down and rebuilt as well. And there's a few bits and pieces of work that we're doing as well, just to make sure she's running 100%. One of those things is the shift is a little bit stiff on the boat. The shift lever, the throttle lever, it's working perfectly, but the actual shift cable is a little bit tight. So we're going to replace the shift cable front to back on it as well, just so that the gear shift is just nice and smooth and easy as it should be. So as I said, the owner's having all that done. So I'm really happy with how the boat runs mechanically. And it was a combination of the fact that she's mechanically very sound, running well, and the fact that pretty much all the equipment up here is in good working order as well, and the fact that the boat's so original is why I agreed to sell her. And I think she's she's definitely a good, sound, solid boat, and you know, not one of the basket cases that you see out there. To get access to the engine on this boat, the whole seat back and sun pad lifts up. And the service access is excellent all the way around this 5-litre V8. So it's a LX, it's carbureted, it makes 220 horsepower, and it really does give this boat effortless performance. It runs very, very smoothly. It starts first turn of the key, and it's going really good. As far as we know, it does only have 120 hours on the clock. This engine, and the condition, as far as I can tell, would stack up against that. You know, it matches up. So if you take a look at the oil is always a really good indicator of sort of the life of an engine. And this, we haven't replaced the oil. This is the way it came into us whenever the customer brought it in. So it's in really nice, you know, it's nice and clean and clear. Again, that's a sign of a low hours boat. And apart from a little bit of corrosion around the front pulleys here and there, but there's no big belt. The front pulleys, if they corrode, they tend to shred the belts a little bit. Now this one's not too bad. I've seen much worse, even on boats a hell of a lot younger as well. And there's no big amount of belt dust in the engine bay, so it doesn't look like it's really become an issue yet, but it's probably something you want to keep an eye on. But apart from that, the engine looks pretty good. Like I said, it's running well. The manifolds externally look to be in good condition. The belts are nice and tight. It has been serviced this year at the same time as the gimbal, the bellows and things being replaced, and all the little ancillaries are working down in there. So all the electrics, the blower motor, the bilge pump, everything's working as it should. All we have left to do is just replace the shift cable just to free up the shift, and that will be done before the boat sails. But it is starting and running really good. As I said, we had the boat out for a pretty extensive water test, which we'll show you now so you can see for yourself just exactly how well the boat's going. I just want to fire up the engine as well while we're looking at it, just to show you how easy it is to start and how smooth it sits and idles. There's no shake or anything off it, there's no rattles. Everything about this mechanically seems really good to me. See as well there, the engine's not running on whenever you turn it off. You know, it's not continuing to detonate or anything. Mechanically wise, this is definitely a good boat. We have a sliding perspex door. It's like a darkened perspex door, giving access into the cuddy cabin. So this is all in good condition. It's running nice and freely, and then we get access into the cabin there. So the cabin on this boat, again, because the boat has these sleek lines, it's low to the water, definitely sacrifices headroom and things in the cabin. The cabin is really a place where you could spend the night. You know, because it's long enough, you can put the filler cushion in the center there, and it makes it up into double beds. You could spend the night on it, but by and large, if you're using the boat during the day and for out, skiing and wakeboarding and things like that, this cabin is where you're going to fire all your gear in out of the way. It's like a big storage compartment. There is a porta potty in there as well, which is a good thing to have. So you do have, toilet facilities on board if you need them in a push. Condition wise, the cabin's pretty good. It all has the original. It's all the original carpet, the original seat coverings, the original headline and things. It's all in pretty decent shape. For being in original condition. You can also see in there that we've got the covers for the boat. So the boat does have a full set of camper covers. We have the bars off at the moment, but the bars are there for a full set of camper covers. These are the side pieces and things here. There's also a tonneau cover. This is a tonneau cover for the boat, and again, this is all the original Fletcher covers. You can see it's color coded. All the covers, the edging is all color coded to match the boat. Hopefully that gives you a much better idea of the condition and the features of this Fletcher Arrowbolt 21. As I said, it's a 1999 boat with a Mercury 5-litre V8 engine. It's showing 125 hours on the clock. This is a good boat. I know it has some cosmetic issues. There's some of the little tears in the upholstery and stuff in the cabin. Externally, it's very, very good. It's definitely a 9 out of 10 externally. Internally, it's probably like, cosmetics in terms of like the condition of the upholstery and all that sort of stuff. It's probably a 7 out of 10. But mechanically, where it counts and where the value in these older boats is in the mechanics. If you have to put an engine and a drive in a boat like this, it's £5,000, so that's a huge proportion of the purchase price. And if you have to start fixing things on it, it's easily, like the boat thing, where it stands for break out another 1,000. That definitely, that's a reality. You've got to do any sort of major repairs on a boat, you're into £1,000 like that. So you don't need too many things to go wrong for the cost to start racking up. So where it counts mechanically, as far as we can tell, as far as we can, we put the boat through its paces in the water, we look at them, I have my engineer check them out, check them over. I've had the owner agree to making sure that the shift cable and everything's taken care of, so the boat's perfect mechanically. I'm happy with the condition of it, and it's definitely a 9 out of 10 or so on the mechanics. So where it counts, this boat's good, the trailer's good, mechanically she's good, she's been reliable, she's always started for me first turn of the key, she runs really well in the water. If you're happy to look past a few little cosmetic things here and there, then you could get yourself a very, very nice boat. That's great value for money. It's priced to reflect her current condition. I am not in the business of selling boats that are going to be a heartbreak for customers, and I do my level best to make sure that everything we put out is going to be perform reliably for you over the coming seasons, and I'm pretty sure this one's going to do the same thing. So it's priced to reflect the condition. I think it's great value for money. Hopefully you do too, and if you're interested, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Just drop me an email, give me a call, or fill out the callback request form, and I'll contact you at a time that's convenient. Thanks very much for watching.